Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. Wherever you are in the world, it is an absolute pleasure and honor to be here with you today. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is a woman's prerogative. We are streaming not only on USA Global TV and Radio, but we are also on E360 TV, and we are on many of the audio platforms as well. Our topic on a woman's prerogative is fascinating because we all have stories of overcoming adversity. Our topic today is cultivating resilience, our stories of overcoming adversity. I'm joined with two other lovely ladies joining us from different parts of the world. We say hello to our regular panelists who are not able to join us today, MARISKA and Dr. Madalene Chan. We're also excited to announce that Dr. Justina Mutali will be rejoining our group as well. So let's get the show started. Let's welcome Caroline HEWARD, the Harley Street stress expert, joining us from London. Hello,
Woo!
Caroline. How are you?
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you, Lady in Red.
It's lovely to see you too. I was not sure what to wear, but I thought red is the color today.
Yes, it is. It's a statement color. It's I'm here. I am strong. I am powerful. There is no adversity that's going to keep me back.
It sure is. It's the color of the root chakra, which is about your foundations, your stability and adversity.
Hip, hip, hooray. I love it. So on that note, let's welcome our special guest today. We were having a little bit of connection problems. Hopefully she is going to be able to join us. Dr. Annette Greenwood is joining us from the United Kingdom. Let's welcome her. Hello.
Woohoo.
And goodbye. Okay, she's not able to join us, sadly. Caroline, that's a shame because she is doing some things on our team, which I'm excited about. We'll talk about it at a later time, but obviously there's a connection issue. So as we begin our show, Caroline, I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you do to help people bust their stress.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Well, I help people bust their stress by all manner of symptoms. So it could be physical, so aches and pains in the body. It could be emotional, sadness, loneliness, heartache. It could be mental, depression, anxiety, stress, or it could be behavioral, where it's affecting your relationships, affecting the relationship in terms of your intimacy or with others in your family, your siblings. So it's however it's affecting you. Also, bereavement issues is behavioral. And I help people break through and find from the blueprint, find the root cause of what causes their symptoms that they are suffering with. And I use root chakra psychology and root cause therapy. So I'm looking at the very blueprint of what's creating the challenges that that person is suffering with. And it's releasing extremely quickly in terms of the way that I identify the root cause. It's very quick. There's not a lot of conversation. I just need a few bits of information and we break through. What it does is it releases the emotions so that you feel more peaceful and you go from head to heart and become more connected. And I help you very quickly with a free consultation, a free 15-minute consultation. And I'm offering an introductory hour for £49. So do look me up so that you can book in your hour consultation, introductory priced at £49.
What a great offer. Fantastic. Thank you for extending that to our audience. And for people who don't know, you and I are on the Listening Mentor show as well on the first and the last Tuesday of each month at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. GMT. So we also have a lot of fascinating conversations there. Caroline, we're going to delve into this about stories of overcoming adversity. Everyone could tell us about something that they had to overcome in their life. And yet at some point, we have this ability to tell ourselves we're not strong enough. I can't do it. I can't do it again. I don't have what it takes. And we talk ourselves out of it. What do we need to have in our heart, in our soul, in our mind to prepare us to overcome adversity?
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. One of the main things that I would say is that we're more than the conversation that's going on in our minds. And we are here to experience challenges within our lives so that we grow, we move through, and we evolve. And through the challenges that we suffer with during our lifetime, we actually gain wisdom. And this is the key, to look at the challenge as a way to overcome something so that you grow, evolve, and more importantly, that you become more evolved through your wisdom and as a person. And so even the monks, they actually are constantly in challenge, much more than we are. And their whole premise is to keep overcoming the challenges that come up so that they can keep evolving and growing. And have you ever been in a situation where you constantly get the same challenge over and over and over again? It's because you haven't gained the wisdom from the challenge. So always look at a challenge, and when you've come through it, how and what have you gained from it? What will you do differently next time? And so when challenges are here, look at them as an opportunity for involvement and growth.
Absolutely. I appreciate everything that you just shared there. And I want to take a step back, which is sometimes getting out of bed can seem like an adversity. Maybe we didn't sleep well. Maybe we just have this heaviness hanging over ourselves. How do we actually quantify or qualify what is an adversity?
That's a really good question. And I was actually training with Charlie Morley, who's an ex-Tibetan monk and does a lot of work around sleep. And he was living in a monastery for a number of years, training and evolving through his challenges. And one of the things that he shared, which I thought was fascinating, because I was doing some online training with him and I'd had my handbag stolen and I was really quite traumatized. I know it might sound really silly, but I'd lost my favorite lipstick, I'd lost my hairbrush, a lot of different bits of, my favorite bits of makeup. I'd also had lost my phones and my trusty handbag I'd had for a number of years. And there's lots of other little things, never look in a girl's handbag. There wasn't a lot of money in there, but there was a lot of things that were very hard to replace. And I remember going on to the training and I said, I've been absolutely aghast and feeling quite stressed and anxious about the fact that I was worried that my phones might be used, and nothing was used, none of my cards were used. And Charlie actually said that it's a trauma, no matter how small it is, because that was traumatizing for me at the time. So it doesn't necessarily mean that something majorly big has to happen. It could be something as small as having a handbag stolen, because it's something that, it's very close to you, very personal to you. And to have somebody take something like that, even somebody coming into your home and burgling your home, it's the same sort of thing. I think a woman's handbag is kind of a big deal. It certainly was for me. And the funny thing about that was they didn't touch anything. They didn't use the cards, they didn't use my phones, but it was the whole episode of having to deal with the fact that I had to replace everything.
And, you know, something that comes along with that, it's not just the replacement, but it's also thinking someone's touching your things, right?
Yeah.
They're touching your things. And then you may even say, if it comes to mind, you know what, I don't even want this because I don't know who touched it, where it's very traumatic. A lot of emotions come up for sure. So that is definitely an adversity. And I remember when you were going through it, actually. And yeah, and you've overcome it. So then there are things where, you know, God forbid someone's in a life-altering accident or they lose a loved one, and it just seems like the pain doesn't go away. And then I've often heard this from people going through situations like this. It's almost like they can't imagine ever being happy again, and they just give up. They go, this is just the way that it is. So what happens in situations like that? Is it that we don't have the skill set that we need to help us through it, or just there's no way we can be prepared for these things?
Well, everybody responds differently to loss. Everyone. It doesn't matter who we are, how strong we think we are, and how we're able to cope with things. You know, when I lost my dad, I was very together because I was emotionless. But when I lost my brother in 2018, that really had a huge impact on me, and I wasn't able to do things, you know, and I just literally fell apart. And I couldn't understand why I wasn't able to cope in the same way that I was when my dad died. And even to read a poem out really surprised me. And that was because I was much more connected to my emotions. And that's the key. When we fall apart and we can't manage, it's because we're very connected to our emotions and our feelings. And we're feeling and we're experiencing from that wider space of being in it. Now, that is completely okay and justified and right when something's just happened, maybe 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years because of all the anniversaries. If we're still in that suffering daily, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, then there is a problem. But there isn't a time limit as to how long we take to overcome. Certainly things like a big bereavement. You know, my mum losing her son, she said a number of times that, you know, she doesn't think she'll ever get over losing him. One of my brothers, who was very close to him, same sort of age, he said that he lost part of him. You know, he lost a part of who he was because they were that close. There was not even a year between them. And I really feel that, because when you lose a sibling, it's a huge deal. It affected me in a huge way, because you don't expect to lose your youngest sibling, and that gave me a mortality check-in. And this is what happens when, you know, we have people around us all of our lives, and then suddenly they're not there anymore. We don't sometimes cope very well because we're in our emotions, and everybody has their own way of handling it, whether it's being angry to begin with and staying in anger, whether it's emotionally tearful all the time. But we'll always have that experience of emotions at those key times, you know, the anniversaries, the birthdays, Christmas, New Year. We're always going to feel that. It doesn't matter how many years pass. It's just, if it's on a daily basis, then it's important to seek some help, especially if it goes over 2 years. And if it's on a daily thing and you're not able to cope with everyday life, this is when you would reach out and find a therapist to help you move through this cycle of not being able to move forward in your life.
Thank you, Caroline. Lots of great points there. It's something I want to bring up when we think about getting help, getting some support. Obviously, there are support groups where people can come together. And I've heard a couple of different things. I lead a support group for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, so I'm going to keep my opinion to myself. But I've also heard that when people get involved, they lean heavily on other people who've gone through the same thing. And then instead of each of them rising up and getting stronger, they're very codependent on each other. And then an evolution doesn't normally take place. And that's just a general statement. What are your thoughts?
Yes, that can happen, because when we get into that situation of constantly talking about something that's making us feel very sad, and it's constantly there, then you will be in it all of the time. And I remember that I was working with one of my masters, and there was some challenges in my family home, sickness, and I would call every day, as I still do now, just to kind of check in and just catch up and make sure everybody's okay. And one of the things that happened was, there was a huge, one of my family members had a huge mental breakdown, and it had a massive effect on the family. And what happened was, every time I called, I was feeling useless and helpless, and I kept going in and not being able to do anything in terms of my own life. And so I was actually being useless in going back every time and doing my best to be supportive. I was actually not even supportive. I felt that I was having a detrimental effect on myself too. So when you're in it all of the time and you're not able to helicopter out of it and live in your normal way and then go back to it and to be supportive, this is when it becomes codependent, and it can bring down your energy of yourself and others around you. And when I stopped going in and trying to fix things, it actually elevated everything within the family home, and they became more resourceful. So I was actually not helpful in getting so upset and getting very emotional. It was actually having a detrimental effect. But when I was resourceful for myself, it actually then lent to a resourcefulness within the family too.
That's really empowering, and I'm appreciating that you share that. What about the expression, just get over it? I mean, what is up with you? This has been going on for so long. It happened. Just get over it.
When you say that to somebody, that's just like putting a knife into the middle of the wound and turning it around and just being really, really painful. It doesn't help, because the person is going through their own experience of their own challenges. And if you turn around and say, just get over it, you're almost devaluing their beingness of how they're feeling. And this is where in England we call it the British stuff upper lip, that we sort of push our feelings and emotions down, and then we brush ourselves down, and we put our best mask over what we're really feeling, and we then pretend that everything's okay, and that actually doesn't help you. It's okay to be human and to break down. And if somebody's telling you to get over it, then that's more about them than it is about you. It's because they can't handle what they're experiencing from you. And so then they're making it that you're wrong and they're right. And so nobody has the right to tell you to get over it, only if there's something going on for them and it's their transference onto you.
I love what you just said. And I have a follow-up question, which is, let's say you're friends with someone who has experienced a loss, and you love this person, you get together with the person, but it's just not fun anymore. It's not the same as it used to be. And every time you get together, the first however long is about whatever it is that happened. And you're thinking, okay, here we go again. Is it okay to say, listen, Sue, I love you, but every time we get together, it's the same conversation. I don't know how to help you.
Yes, to be authentically honest with the person if that's what you're feeling. Or for most people, they will give a wide berth. They just won't keep connecting. They will just stop because they're feeling awkward. And have you ever had the experience where there's been a loss in your family, and people that you're really close to either don't call you, they don't connect with you, or if they see you in the street, they walk on the other side of the road, so they don't actually speak to you or connect with you. And that's because they don't know what to say to you. They don't know how to enact around you because of the loss that you're experiencing. So that's not their bad or yours, it's our responses and our reactions. They're struggling because they don't know how to react to your loss. And at the same time, you're not able to put on that brave face and be who you were because you're not feeling it. And so you're being yourself. And we have to put on an act generally in our work situations with our colleagues and people, our bosses, people that we're reporting to, and sometimes with family that we're trying to hold ourselves together. But sometimes it's okay to let it slip. And if you're uncomfortable about that situation and being in that friendship, then it is better to say, if you feel comfortable to say, or to suggest that they seek some professional help because you're not able to help them in the way that they need.
So, should you encourage your friend to get out more? Should you keep inviting your friend to do things, or should you say, hey, you need to do what you need to do to feel better, and when you do, we'll get together again?
Well, it's everybody's different, and it's a really, really powerful question because there is no right or wrong in any answer. It's what's right for the person. I had a referral from somebody, one of my promoters, that said that he had a family member that was coming up to him quite regularly and really calling him out for hours and speaking to him and pouring everything out. And he said, he turned around and he said, you need to see somebody. I can highly recommend that you catch up with Caroline. I'll pass her details because she's a therapist and she can actually help you with what you're going through. I can't help you. I don't have the skills to help you with what you need. And that's quite a brave thing to say. What he did have was, he did have me to, say, look, she offers a free consultation. Why don't you give her a call and take her up on it? And that's what happens. But sometimes some people feel that there's a wrong in seeking external help and going to a therapist, that there's something wrong with them. But there isn't anything wrong with you. It's just that life happens and you're having an effect, a reaction that is not conducive for you being able to move forward. And so there is an importance about seeking external help to help you feel different and better about how you are responding and reacting, because we can't solve what we are in the same consciousness that we created it, which is why it's important to seek that external help, because you can't solve the problem in that same place as you created the issue and the reaction.
You have helped so many people, and I can see why, because you clearly understand what goes on behind the scenes in each person, and yet each person is different. And so you allow that space for the person to be the authentic self themselves. But other people don't do that because people are very judgmental, and it's all about me. It's about how I feel. It's about what I want. It's about what I want to do. So I would say that it probably some amount of people, some percentage, will suffer in silence. They will not share what it is that they're going through. And maybe it's something where they were attacked or they were harassed or they were raped or something horrible, and they just keep it to themselves because they know they're going to be met with judgment. And then how does that impact their body? How does that impact them physically and mentally when you keep something like that to yourself?
Well, when you suppress something like that, some very deep emotion, then it will then react within the body. It will express itself in the body. So if there's anger, for instance, then it can cause inflammation in the body, pain, very serious pain. If there is, for instance, a bereavement and the expression of the emotion isn't handled and suppressed, then it can affect the breathing and the heart. Many people that have had a bereavement, a very close bereavement, a loss, they actually sometimes have angina or heart palpitations, or indeed, sort of the more serious cases can actually land up having a heart attack, and sometimes not surviving and sometimes surviving. And for some people, it will affect their lungs in terms of their breathing, because the heart chakra is where the heart is. And when we don't express the feelings and emotions, then the heart chakra will shut down, and so it'll make the breathing very labored, and it will also make people feel like everything's really difficult, that it's a struggle. Have you heard the term, that person's got the weight of the world on their shoulders? Because the shoulders are related to the heart, and so the person will almost look like they're feeling downtrodden, and it's because their body is expressing how they're really feeling. Even though we've learned to be economical with the truth verbally, and we have, because we live in a Western society and a Western culture, that we don't express how we feel all of the time, because we know that's not appropriate, especially in our working lives. And when we don't express ourselves, then it actually tells the body is constantly in communication, and the body has not learnt to lie. So the body will be always communicating when the verbal communication is not saying what it really thinks. The body is actually experiencing the communication that's real and authentic. So we can't hide our communication that our body is saying, because we've never learnt to lie in terms of our physiology and our gestures.
I'm laughing back here because it's such a valid point. I just had lunch with a family member, and she's like, "You seem really stressed out." And I said, "Stressed out? I'm not stressed out. What do you mean? I'm not stressed out at all." So why do you think I'm stressed out? She's like, "I don't know. I'm just looking at your body language." And then I have a big thing of eczema here. I'm like, I guess I am stressed out. But here's my question for you. If we tell ourselves enough, I'm good, I'm great, I feel fine, I'm wonderful, doesn't that have some kind of impact on how we really are doing?
Well, yes and no. It's a really interesting concept. And I had a friend, I'm going to give this analogy because it will really tie in to what your sibling said to you, is that he had Post-it notes everywhere saying, "I'm successful, I'm very rich, I'm wealthy, I'm a multimillionaire, I'm confident," and he had all these Post-it notes everywhere. He really took these things quite literally, these practices. And what was really funny was that they were on doors, cupboards, they were in the bathroom, in the living room. Everywhere I looked, there was like these Post-it notes. And I said, "And how's this working for you?" He says, "It's not." And I said, "The reason is you're saying things but not feeling them. You have to feel the sensitivity of emotion. So it's no good saying, 'I am happy,' when actually you're not feeling happy." It's about a feeling. And when you move into the feeling of the emotion, so "I am happy, I am really happy," and you then start to feel it, then that is what will bring the firing and wiring of the brain synapses together, and that will actually fire and wire things that will make you happy. So it's about feeling it, not just saying it. And this is one of the faux pas and one of the things that has been missold in personal self-development. And I've been on a lot of those happy clappy type workshops where they're telling you, "I feel great, I'm amazing, I am awesome." And people are walking around saying, "I'm amazing, I'm awesome," and really they're not feeling it. And so they're all hyped up, all pumped up, and they go home and they're not feeling awesome at all. They're just feeling not good. And so then there's a big crash, because what they're saying is not matching up to how they're feeling. And this is the challenge. And so it's about feeling, being in the body and feeling the experiences in the body.
So we really can't fool ourselves, is the bottom line.
Well, there's an adage and there's a cliche in personal self-development. I don't know whether you've heard it, fake it till you make it. And, I've been trained by a lot of Americans and they say this, fake it until you make it and then you'll eventually make it. But, there's the internal dialogue and the internal feeling of that you're not making it and you're faking it and you're not really being it. So one of the things that I do is to get into the feeling of it, which is why I dance, which is why I chant, which is why I do Sanskrit mantras, because these are quite magical practices that make you feel differently. So when I'm dancing and I'm really dancing, I'm feeling absolutely amazing. And this is generating the very big creativeness because it's from the second chakra, and this is our creative chakra, where we literally can change things and move things into our practical and our reality. And when we move things into our reality, then we're feeling differently, and it's in the body. It's not in the mind, it's in the body. Yes, the thought has to start, but then when we make it into the practical world, we have to move it down into the body to feel it, to create from it, and then to give it power, and then to give it a voice from the throat, and then to give it from the heart, the will to keep moving. So it's about having the thought to begin with and then bringing it into reality through the chakras so that you create what it is that you're thinking about.
Do you offer workshops on this, Caroline?
Well, yeah, I could. It's really easy for me because I've been doing this work for so long. I never think about it. That's a great idea for a workshop. You're just asking the questions, and this is really easy for me because when I do my dance meditations, I go with my hit list of what I want to create. I want to create clients, I want to create my new home. And this is how I created my new home. I actually went and danced it into reality by not just thinking it, by literally creating it. And one of the guys that I was doing a lot of dancing with, Benjamin Crystal, he would say, dance your reality, dance your dreams into your reality. Let's dance through the curves of your dreams and bring it into your reality. And that's exactly what I would do. And the different vibrations of the different frequencies of the dance was to essentially work through the chakras. So I was dancing through the different chakras. I mean, I still love it, and I'm missing those dances. So I need to find some online ones or find somebody that's doing them in my locality. But when you dance through, you're actually moving every part of your body and moving it into your reality. So it's not just a thought anymore, you're bringing it in. But if you have this negative inner chatter, if oh no, you can't do that, you're not good enough to do that, and then you're going, yes I am, I'm going to do this. This is the conversation, the dialogue that we have. When there is no dialogue, when there is no thought, and you're not in the mind, and you reconnect to your heart, then all there is reality. And whatever your being is created into your beingness.
It's a lot to process, but yeah, it's deep. But I'm wondering something else. We've talked about things that happen to us that can be overwhelming or we keep to ourselves. What about when we have a partner, we're in a relationship, and we get disappointed? Disappointment's part of life, isn't it?
Well, when we're disappointed, it's because we have an expectation. So if you are disappointed about a result or an effect of something that you've done or what somebody's done, then it's because in the mind you've had an expectation of a result or an outcome. And to expect something from someone else is usually detrimental to the fact that you put them on a pedestal, and then they can easily fall off that pedestal because we're all human. So when we have an expectation of something or someone, this is when we can get knocked down. And there's something that a member of my family would say quite frequently: I'm not going to expect the best, I'm going to expect the worst. And when I expect the worst, then if good things happen, then I'll be surprised. But if bad things happen, I won't be disappointed. And I think that that's, sort of this pessimist optimist, glass half empty. I'm a bit like glass half full. And so there are challenges when somebody is thinking in a very pessimistic way that all these bad things are going to happen, then that's what happens. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're thinking good things, and usually you can't dictate what somebody else does, you can only dictate what you do or have an expectation of how you're going to respond if they don't match up to your expectation. But to expect and then the person doesn't deliver is the sign of madness.
It's a great word. I love it. So as we come towards the ends of our show, I just want to explore one other thing. I've known you for a while. You're very dependable. You're very reliable. You're very professional. I don't have to give a second thought. I can depend on Caroline. Not everyone's that way. So my question for you is, when you're on a team or you're in a family or you're in a relationship and you are the one everybody can count on, everybody knows you and knows what you're going to do, you know that everybody else is not going to be to the level that you are. And at first, you make excuses. That's how she is. That's how he is. But eventually you think to yourself, I don't know, I'm tired of making excuses. And you create a boundary so that you don't have a disappointment anymore. And that disappointment doesn't eventually become an adversity, or you're angry, or there's a barrier between you. Is there a question there? Yes. So my question is, how do you acclimate knowing that everyone's not going to be showing up like you are?
Well, this is an acceptance, to accept everything that is. And you can only influence you and change the things that you're in control of. So if you're not in control of how somebody else is going to respond, react, or show up, and so you'll get stressed if you're trying to foresee and trying to control somebody else. You can only control you and the way that you react and respond to various things, and how you maintain that response and reaction when something goes wrong. Remember, if you're angry, you're not going to affect the other person. Anger, it's like holding a hot coal and expecting the other person to be affected. It's you that gets affected. When you're angry, it's not the other person. It's you that's getting hurt. And so if somebody's done you a wrong and you walk around holding that hurt and that anger and getting very bitter, the other person isn't suffering, it's you. And so look at what you can control rather than the things that you can't control, and you'll have more inner peace and you'll have more calm in your life.
And you and I both know that inner peace is the way to go. We're both advocates of that. But some people love the drama. They thrive in it. They will it out to the universe. They're in their glory. What is that about?
Well, that's because they haven't learned that everything is energy, and we are energy and space. And so if somebody is in the drama of trying to get one up on you or making you feel bad, doing their best to make you feel bad, it's the way that they're getting their energy. So if you are drained by being with someone, and then when you're not with them, you're energized, they're feeling energized. If they turn around and say, I always feel energized when I'm with you, I don't know what it is, that you're feeling really drained, it's because they're stealing your energy. And you are allowing that. So this is about being in control. If you're allowing your energy to be stolen, then it's about you keeping firmer boundaries and not allowing that. And some people will sort of be the victim and be quite in the drama and, sort of getting you to be sucked in so that you start offering solutions, but all they want is your energy. And so it's best to listen compassionately, lovingly and kindly, and really listen, not just like do it lip service, really listen, actively listen with compassion, rather than trying to offer solutions. I know it's really difficult because we want that person not to be suffering. That sometimes they just need to be heard, and then they're not going to gain the energy that they were trying to steal from you, and you both land up feeling more relaxed and peaceful. And what's really wonderful about that is the other person will have a much deeper sleep that's been trying to take your energy by sparring with you, and you won't have had your energy depleted. So it's like a win-win everywhere.
The big win-win. So my question for you as we close out just on this topic is, sometimes I've had this happen to me, maybe you have too. Out of nowhere, someone comes up and tells you something about yourself or about something that you're doing, and you're kind of like, wait a minute, who are you and why are you telling me this? And then you take it to heart and you start evaluating everything you're doing, thinking, I wonder if that person was right. Like, why did they come out of nowhere to tell me that? And your energy is in flux because now you're sort of giving it to that person and you have to take your power back. But you wonder, why did they say what they said when I don't even have a relationship with this person?
That's a really, really cool question, because I've suffered from that when somebody's given me some feedback and I've thought, oh gosh, do I really show up like that? Have I really offended them? Because I don't want to be in a conflict situation with anyone or anything. But, conflict arises in our life. And if we avoid it, then it will keep coming back. Whatever we suppress expresses, whatever we resist will keep coming back. And so it's better to be in the situation and take on what feels. So if there is a response that you're experiencing, look at that and process what you're experiencing and feeling, because that is yours. There is something there that's undealt with. And don't take on, this is the key nugget here, is to not take on somebody else's stuff, because some people will just throw it at you because they don't want to handle their own stuff. So take on board what's yours and handle what's your stuff. That's your response, your reaction, and feel into what's coming up for you and process it. And if something doesn't feel right and it doesn't belong there, just kind of give it back to them without having to do it physically and verbally to them. Just don't take it on, because some people will like you to take on their stuff because they don't know what to do with it themselves.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. As always, such great insights and expertise. You mentioned before that you have an offering for our audience. I'd love for you to share that again and maybe give a story of someone who reached out to you for some assistance and how you were able to bring value to their life.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Okay, so what I'm offering now is a 1-hour introductory consultation, which actually has a free 15 minutes in there as well. And it's a really, really special, low price of £49. And it's a steal, to have that much time with me. And you can actually call me or email me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call +44 if you're international. If you're local, 07523 120 189. One of the things that I've done to help people is that if there is, and there is a lot of people that are not able to cope with the way that life is right now for them, especially young people, which I've been quite surprised about. And I was able to help a mother and her son. And the mother said that she reached out and said that her son had tried to end his life. And it was a very, very challenging situation because she was in the hospital. He hadn't succeeded. And this was something that he had done a number of times and not succeeded. And she was having a really, really hysterical response because her son was quite young. And she didn't know how to be the best help to him or for herself. And so I spent time with her, helping her process what happened with her son, to handle the best way for her to handle her emotions and feelings, and then to be the best for her son. And then I also did, as a follow-up to that, a consultation with her son, helping him see that what was over the other side of this challenge that he was experiencing. And I had some feedback after the calls about a week later to say that her son was now much more hopeful. He was actually in a place where he was organizing things for the future, and he was much more optimistic, and he was happier and looking at future things rather than focusing on things that he didn't feel very happy or comfortable about. And that for me was wonderful, because I didn't just help in one instance the mother, I also helped the child as well. And he hasn't tried to end his life since. And so I feel that that for me was just amazing, to be able to help a family, a mother and her son, in the way that I was able to, because that person was in a hopeless space of not wanting to live anymore. And we found ways of him feeling better, much more able to look for the future and find and plan his whole future, in the fact that he wasn't able to see anything prior to that.
Wow, Caroline, that's epic. That's amazing. Congratulations and best wishes to the two of them. That is outstanding. What a gift that you have.
Well, it was because I'd been doing my suicide and self-harm training, that because I've been focused on that, which was last year, and that client inquiry came in, it was amazing for me to be able to do. And that was as a result of the new training that I was doing. So I was able to handle all the things, because I think prior to that I might have fell apart thinking, oh my gosh. But I actually had proper trained skills, because when somebody's that young and they've tried to end their life, it's not a good feeling for anybody. But I was able to go in very professionally, because I'd done my training, and it was wonderful to be able to give the gift of life. Instead of birthing a child, I'd actually given the gift of life to a mother and son, and that for me was incredible. And I'd love to do more of that sort of work, because it was it's far outreaching. What it gave to me, it also gave to the mother and son too.
I feel you'll have more clients like that coming to you.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to share with our audience before we go over to our sponsors today?
The final thing that I'd like to share is that in life, we all have things that are challenging. We all face adversity. And in life, it's not a picnic all of the time. It's not always fun, and it's not always easy. Life has that ability to throw us curveballs and challenges. And my invitation to you is to breathe, to feel, and to allow those feelings to come up, because you'll be surprised how quickly they will come up and leave you. Because we are here as a human being rather than a human doing. We are here to be and feel rather than only to do. So allow yourself the permission to feel, because sometimes that's all we need, permission to feel.
Bravo, bravo. Way to close out the show today. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for being here. I'm glad we were here for each other, since we have a small group today. Small group.
We always have fun. We always have an interesting conversation, don't we?
We do. We never know where it's going to go.
Absolutely.
So we will not see you tomorrow for the Listening Mentor, but we will see you.
Yes, I'll be in the Listening Mentor tomorrow. We have a special show tomorrow for the Listening Mentor.
Oh, good. Okay. It's a good thing that you know what's going on. Okay.
And I will see you next Monday on A Woman's Prerogative.
All right. Sounds very good. And we're going to go over to our sponsors right now. So do stay tuned for them. And thank you to everyone at E360 TV. Bye for now, Caroline. Bye-bye.
USA Global TV and Radio, in partnership with Dr. Jacalyn LLC, present Amazon #1 best-selling author, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is a certified life, career, and executive coach who teaches people how to listen at an elevated level through her courses and her books. Dr. Kerbeck teaches her clients how to open their hearts and express themselves through their creative genius. In her children's book series, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, The Listening Mentor, Dr. Kerbeck teaches children and their families how to listen at an elevated level. Dr. Kerbeck has worked with clients across the world to guide them in how to express themselves and communicate at a highly effective level. Join our team of elevated listeners so you can listen without judgment, without providing a solution, without interruption, and without stealing the stage. To order your books today, go to drjacalyn.com or Amazon.
This program has been brought to you in part by Zane Carson Carruth, etiquette and protocol expert, international award-winning author, television show host, and philanthropist. Thank you to Zane, our official diamond sponsor for USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. Zane is the author of the world's first tooth fairy ever, as well as many other children's books. She's also the television host of Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living, seen on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Bella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Bella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Bella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.